Hello, my friends. It is a journey time. That's right. Another episode of the Broker Journey podcast. And my friends, this one is going to be amazing because I have someone on here that I've known for a while. I would say probably 8 years at least.
Yep.
Somewhere around there. And the dude's been solid. He's one of those guys that you meet at an event or you see and you just gravitate towards because he's not speaking bullshit. He's not speaking nonsense. He's like just, and he's just, he's just talking to you, but also, and you may not know, but just by talking to him, but like Jimmy does some serious deals, right? He does some serious production. He's a great leader. And, he's just always been one of those guys that, you meet and you always remember. And every time you see him, you fall right back into the great conversations about this industry and what we do, on the broker side. And guys, look, I'm gonna introduce him here in a second, but you guys can see him already, and you guys see the title. So it's Jimmy Hobson at UMortgage, but I'm gonna have him talk a little bit about his background. But I'm just gonna tell you guys, right, that's such a waste of time because Jimmy has so much value. If you guys haven't been following him or connected with him on social media, he is dropping fire almost daily. I mean, I don't know if I see the post every day, but I'm sure you're dropping him daily. But I see him almost every day, dropping some serious knowledge, and it's the messaging that loan officers need to hear right now. So without further ado, Jimmy, what is up, brother?
Not much, bro. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited. I've kind of, I don't know how to let my foot off the gas. And so, but I'm reinvigorated is probably a good thing. I took a look at the landscape of the world and thought, man, I can't see any more of these fucking political posts. So as much as I lean a certain way, people know who I am. I'm like, I can't do it. So I said, I'm done with this shit. I was like, I am going to go out and help everyone get better. And in turn, hold a mirror up to myself to get better because my posts are for me. Because, I look in the mirror, I'm like, man, you suck, bro. And and for perspective, I did 60 million in volume last year in a down market. I clearly don't suck, but to me, I suck because I should have done 100, right? So it's one of those things. Yeah,
it's funny. Yeah, we call those like the mirror moments, and that's the same thing. Like what I do with my Growth Notes podcast is like, I try to make that clear with everyone. I said what I'm talking about, it is much for me, if not more for me, than it is for anyone else, because we're all going through our journeys of growth, and that's what you want to look for in a good leader. Especially on the sales side, a good a sales leader, and then also a coach, right? You want to find someone that is growing themselves and are having those mirror moments. But before we get into that, because all that shit's fire, and I really want to focus on that. But give people like just a little bit of a background, where you're at, what state you're in, and how you got in this business, because I think it will be a good contrast of what we're going to talk about next.
All right. So I'm located just north of Salt Lake City. Obviously, you and I originally met because you were living here.
Yep. That's right. Yep.
I live 15 miles north of the airport. If you guys know Salt Lake, so originally got licensed way back in like 2005 and worked for AmeriQuest. And to me, that was the most corrupt industry I'd ever seen in my life. I came from the car business, bro, the car business. And so I got out for a long time. I was going through divorce and everything. And I got back in 2016 and started doing lead gen. And in 2018, I figured out, you know what, I got to be better. I got to figure this out. So I started going to social media classes, teaching social media, and then I really lashed on to VA, with my guys, Michael Fisher and those guys that people may know, did the venture mortgage advisor back then. It was military mortgage boot camp. I had to think about it.
That's right. Yeah.
Then I joined Veta VA, and I really have heavy focus VA. I did 80 VA transactions last year, 80 of my 129 or 130. So heavy focus there, and I actively produce. So for perspective for people on here, if you don't think you can do it. So I run sales for UMortgage nationally. So I manage all the leaders, right? It's me and Anthony basically run the sales side. And then I run a branch with my partners, and then I actively produce. So I'm super busy, but what I've tried to figure out in the last little bit is, man, there's some holes in my game, right? Everyone's got holes. And so I'm literally posting and speaking to myself and basically saying, dude, if I were to start over, this is what I would do. And if I were to start over, this is what I would do. And this is how I would attack. Because everyone tries to make this so hard. I sat on stage at Fuse, I don't know, 4 years ago, whatever it was, top producer panel. And everyone's like, I'm getting back to the basics when rates started creeping up, because rates have been for 3 years, right? Get back to the basics. I'm like, guys, I was like, the basics are simple. Pick your fucking phone up, film yourself, and post it. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. No one gives a shit if you're in a professional studio. What we give a shit about is that you actually care about people and take care of people and help people. And that's my philosophy. And I swear a lot. My team loves it and hates it at the same time, but it's just who I am, So
yeah. Well, and look, it's the authenticity piece, and to Jimmy's point, right? Like, so like exactly what I do with Different is all about uncomplicating success, because we have massively overcomplicated the shit out of just simple stuff like what Jimmy just talked about. And that every one of his posts is about that. It's really not complicated. We're not saying it's easy, right? But it's just not complicated, right? But because you make it complicated, you actually make it more harder on yourself than it needs to be. And guys, look, this business, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard and challenging without you helping it along, right? And it's just, and it'll beat you down if you let it. But ultimately, it comes down to, understanding the dynamics of what's going on. Jimmy was talking about the political post. And it's so funny you brought that up, because I had my coaching call with Ed Milet last night, and he was talking about time and distraction, right? And he's like, look, I spent 10 minutes and just looked at, he's all distracted this, Trump that, Ukraine this, China that, all of these things. He's all distraction. He's all as an entrepreneur, right? He's like, I got to look what's in front of me, right? All of that stuff. No, right? He's like, it's all distraction. It's not. And I know everyone has their sides of it, and that's fine. But when you're building a business, and I want to get your perspective, because Jimmy, you mentioned it, like you and Anthony are running sales for UMortgage. You're running a branch with partners, with your partners, and then you're producing. So you are accountable in 3 areas, especially to those that you serve, especially the most important group, which is veterans, right? So how do you see it, and how are you what do you do to focus, and then I want you to roll into, like, if I was starting over today, because I think a lot of people, even if they've been in the business 2, 3, 4, 5 years, they may feel like they're at zero because they're starting over, because what the shit that they were doing before just ain't working now.
Well, I mean, I think the problem, for perspective, I think people complicate it, like you said. So I saw your post the other day, you and Michael had shared about everyone thinks they need to jump into the newest thing of AI. Yeah. Really, they just need to back into their business and focus on it. And so for me, what I've done is I've gotten away from the distraction. I use AI. People make fun of me. Oh, that's too AI. Well, literally, I've cleaned up so much of my vitriol, and I hate to say that because I was kind of an asshole. I've done such a good that everything looks like it's robotic now. So I got to work on that. But I think that's the biggest thing, is people get so caught up that, there's a reason why the core coaching works, for example. It's because it's the basics every single day. And everyone thinks, well, I need the newest lead gen. Nothing against, we'll joke with Luke all the time. Nothing against Luke, right? But, I need the latest lead gen and all these things. And I see all these posts on the internet because I pay attention to all, but I ignore it. I'm like, guys, you just need to pick your fucking phone up and make phone calls. I was like, it's not that hard. And post on the internet. Like everyone's like, well, I don't know what to do. Do something. Just post. I mean, it's not rocket science. So if I was starting over, back to that when I did, so I cut my teeth on Facebook leads, right? 16, 17, 18, 50 cent leads, back in the glory days, they were shit then, just like shit now. And it's all about follow-up, which no one does, right? But if I were starting over again, where I built most of my business, and I tell people all the time, look, I'm very active on social, and I'm hitting it even harder now because I'm wearing 2 hats. I'm recruiting, obviously, but I'm also trying to generate business. Very active on social. I would hit that hard. And then I started teaching classes. I taught social media classes back, before anyone knew how to make it work. I still teach VACE. I'm teaching a class next week. And that's where I get my presence, because I'll get phone calls all the time. Hey, I came to your class a year and a half ago. I got a veteran for you. Perfect. Right. So, that's where I would start at the basics, and then literally just map out your days. Now, whether you follow the theme days or not, that's your prerogative. It doesn't really matter, but do something. And you and I both know this. I mean, you wear 10 different hats. You're doing CMO with a bunch of people, all that, fractional stuff, and the problem is everyone comes to this job because they want the freedom of the job, but the freedom of the job basically means they work 2 hours and don't do anything else. And then they bitch and complain when they don't do any loans or any real estate. Right. I'm like, guys, if you actually work this like a real job, you'd have success. So my thing, that's my thing is, so I get up super early so I can get my shit out of the way so I can do this kind of stuff. Right. And then I lay a structure to my day. No different than what you've, listen to Ed or Andy or those guys talk about. Structure the day. And every single day I have certain things I got to do. And I stack them one after another. And then when I'm done, I'm done. Right. And I'll be honest with you. I do a lot of production. I wear a lot of hats. And there's still some days where 3 or 4 hours I didn't do much. But because I package it up and jam it in, I do it. I give an example. This is where people lose focus, Jason. And this. I was like, if I have a call at 11 and I finish my last call at 10:45, I'm dialing 3 people in 15 minutes. Hey, real quick, just want to give you an update on your loan. I don't
Mhm.
have much time, but this is what's going on. This is what's going on. You okay? Good. Perfect. Move.
Mhm.
That's all people need. But everyone
Yep.
complicates. I think they need to have this hour-long conversation. It's not hard.
Yep.
Stay in touch with the people. Relate with them. Take care of them. Don't fuck them over like half the people out there. Don't look to make every single nickel you have to on a transaction, and just repeat over and over and over again. And there's a reason why my volume stayed steady since the rates started creeping up. I did at 100 million in 21, which, not pat myself on the back for perspective, and I basically done 50 to 60 the last 4 years. Because I maintained a purchase business and took care of people. Yep. And I did the work. I'm in front of them with birthday cards. I'm in front of them with social media. I'm in front of them with all kinds of follow-up. And so everyone wants to complicate this business and thinks they need the new shiny object, right? A great CRM is great, right? But how many people use it? You guys work on Go High Level. People don't use it. They want this. They want to pay for it. And then they sit there and look at it. I'm like, guys, gals, what are you doing?
One of the things, and all of that was awesome, guys. So I hope you guys are, when you're listening to this, you're taking notes. Hopefully you're using an AI tool to, get the transcript and whatever. Cause honestly, like, you could just steal the shit we're going to talk about today and like post it yourself. And, cause if it means something to you, cool, if you're going to help other people. But here's what I say. Like, one of the things that Jimmy said is, like, when he said, like, hey, there's, cause I want to talk about the compound effect, right? So like what you guys, a lot of you gloss over is, like, when you talk about, like, you join this for freedom, great, but guess what? Freedom has a cost, and the business is going to own you before you own it, right? But you got to put in that work to get to that point, and a lot of people aren't willing to do that. And one of the things that you said, as it relates to the compounding interest of good things happening, is the fact that, like, when you say, like, hey, I have some days where I just didn't do that much, but this and that, but because you're structured, those things can happen. When you don't have structure and you trip into your day, and as chaotic as this business can be, those days will kill you, right? And then that's why when you see, and this is what I've said for when 22, I'm like, how come there's so many people that were doing good before are still doing good now? Right? Why everyone else is saying that nobody's buying and selling real estate, even though the data is saying the opposite of that. And the reason why is because they have their habits, they have their routines, they have their structure, and they live by it. And when you find out that when you compound good, positive activity, money-making activities, like, you'll find out that, in those 90 days, oh, well, that's just coming around again. Guess what? I'm keeping doing it. Another 90 days coming around. And that's the cycle. It's the problem is when you don't do it for 90 days or half a year and you're just tripping over shit, then that's when stuff gets chaotic. So guys, I hope you really understood that. The fundamental thing that was great about what Jimmy said is the compounding effect of taking action and having structure and knowing the value of your time, so that when shit does pop up, because your days will not always go as planned, no matter what you do, that it doesn't kill your business or send you down some freaking downward death spiral that you can't recover from. And that's what needs to happen right now. There's too many, like, especially with AI, like, there's too many distractions. Like Jimmy was saying, like, everyone wants all this stuff. No, you don't. Like, to me, that's why I was like, I'm like not even going to mention CRMs anymore. We're totally like changing the game on that, and not because like, and not changing the game. I'm saying just the perspective of how you look at your tools and use them, but in an uncomplicated way. It's like, how do you have more conversations? How do you stay in touch with your people? Right? How do you create a great experience so they come back to you? And guys, if you aren't paying attention to all the M&A with servicing and all the moves that the bigger companies, retail and on the wholesale, are doing right now, is because we are about to have one of the most competitive decades ever because of AI. And it has nothing to do with what it does to the loan officer, what it does to the people we serve. Right. And so, like, that's what the conversations we're not having. But if you follow people like Jimmy and listen to what he's talking about, he's not talking about the shiny new objects. He's not talking about this stuff. He's talking about real things, the blocking and tackling and all the stuff. And yes, we could all say back to basics, but don't say back to basics unless you're going to talk about what that actually means. Right. And actually what you could do with it.
No one. I mean, here's the reality, and and I know you're an Andy guy. I was listening to one of his podcasts in the Operator Standard, because I'm sure you're.
Oh yeah, yep.
And they were talking about it, and someone's like, "Well, I want what you have," and he's like, "Are you willing to commit 10 years to it? What are you willing to commit 10 years to?" And I'm 10 years into this business now, and I still feel like I'm learning, because I sucked at follow up. I sucked at asking for referrals.
Yeah,
and that's the thing is. The business is right in front of you. And again, to your point, blocking and tackling, that's the thing is, there's a reason why Nick Saban's the greatest coach of all time in college football. He's like, because they worked on the simple things over and over and over again. It's not so that they were, they could never get them wrong, basically, no matter
Yep.
what percentage
Yep.
of self, never get them wrong.
Yep.
And, and that's kind of how I look at it. I've reformed my mindset. I've gone on this journey last year and a half, lost 50 pounds, just really focused on me.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, as you know, Jason, and you've been through it too, done 75 hard, things like that.
Yep.
You can't be the best you for everybody else if you're not the best you for you. So I've really changed
100%.
my mindset. I don't allow things to bother me like they used to. I literally, I might have the shortest memory in the world. I'm petty. Don't get me wrong. There's shit that pisses me off. But at the end of the day, who I am inside is more than that. So I do my best to be different. And again, people just don't get it. And so I just attack and attack and attack. And I look at myself and I'm like, man, you're not attacking hard enough. And that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest advice I would give to anybody on here that listens to this is guys, the business is right in front of you. I've had multiple conversations with people at different companies, not to recruit, but just they want to know because they see my posts about mindset and what it takes. And they're not even doing the simple things like, well, I don't know how to post on social. It's not hard. Literally schedule it out in your phone. Tell Siri you want to post at 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. and start doing it and get into the habit of it. I'm just so used to shit now, but nothing phases me. But I've done it for 10 years or more, and I mean, your growth notes and the things you're doing, it's like a second nature. If you didn't do it, you would literally be up your own ass all day long about not doing it. Right. It's just, it's become part of who you are. And it's how you get your message out to the world as much for yourself as anybody else. So I post for myself because I look at a mirror and I think to myself, man, if I was 10 years ago, and mind you, I started really doing this job full time at 42, 43 years old. I'm 52 now. So, but if I was doing it again, that's the things I would look at. And that's what people don't get, right? Is they got to kind of judge their own self and figure it out. So,
yeah. And so I want to ask you something based off of something I'm doing right now. And then I want to wrap up by talking a little bit about some of the stuff that I've been seeing you guys post about UMortgage, but, so like I'm doing a challenge right now, and this goes to shit that I'm getting also from the operator standard with Andy Frisella, and so right now we're doing in AIM, we're doing a 14-day excellence challenge, or the Own It challenge, as I call it. And basically what it is that there's complete ownership, excellence to one task every single day, right? And I gave them an exhaustive list of things of things you could choose from, but choose your own. And so if you obviously not if you were, because I know you do, but obviously, you deal with a lot of originators. And if you were to tell them, if you're like, look, I'm putting you guys into like just a 14-day, just like, I want you to focus on one thing that you see like what is the biggest detriment to their growth. So if you could just pinpoint one thing that you would say, like, this is what I see with a lot of the loan officers, that is probably like their biggest obstacle in holding them back right now. What is that one thing, and what would be an action to just have them break through that?
I mean, it's really simple, Jason. I mean, honestly, I think people's biggest issue is they don't map out a plan for the day. Like the daily tasks, right?
Yep.
Very simple. I think, and this is what I tell people. I was like, guys, at night or first thing in the morning, whatever, but usually at night, because it's better. Map out your next day, and don't walk in first thing in the morning. Like, I've had to force myself to get away from my social and my email. I get up and the first thing I do is go work out, or I go walk, or do what I do. I mean, I was outside this morning, snow on the ground, 23 degrees. That's the focus, right? Because it clears my head, it gets me ready. But that would be the biggest thing for me is, guys, figure out a structure to your day and adhere to it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And like, get back to and if you guys can go find it, go look up Real AF or the MFCEO project and look for the power list. And find that, create it the night before and do it. Because that's the biggest thing for me is if I have a structure to my day and I started calendaring everything and I started marking everything and pinning it, and it's changed my life and that's what I would tell people. I was like, look, if you're lost, create structure within yourself first, and then you're good. There's a reason why, they talk about habits being 21 days. There's a reason why 75 hard is 75 hard, not to preach Andy all day long. But there's a reason why it's 75 days and not 21 days, right? Because 21 days doesn't work. You don't create anything. And that would be my thing, guys, is structure your days and your habits around and then build from there. Because once you figure out a cadence to that, right? And all of a sudden you're doing that for a while, then you can add more. And then you can add more. Like in the OS, there's more stuff we're doing, like this challenge you're doing. You wouldn't 3-4 years ago, you wouldn't have done any of that shit because you weren't ready for it, right?
Yep.
If we level up to the next level, then you can take on more. And it's funny, there's some days I'm like, shit, I missed stuff. And it's like 5 o'clock and I still got 4 things to do. I'm like, but I get it done because I know I can do it. And that's my thing is get your task list, dial it in, and adhere to it. And then as you realize, shit, I have a lot more time than I thought, then attack more things, and then attack more things, and add more things to it. But don't chase the shiny objects. That's my biggest advice. Do not chase shiny objects. It's not going to get you anywhere. And, and I'll talk about shiny objects being a whole host of things, a massive amount of AI, massive signing bonuses. That's shiny objects. I know a bunch of people that have taken signing bonuses and are not real happy about taking the signing bonus, other than they got paid, right? So those are the things that I would stick to. But again, personally, take care of yourself first, dial yourself in, and then you can work for everybody else.
Yep, 100%. Like all of that, guys. Masterclass in probably about 2 minutes there. And here's the thing, guys, is that it's not. We are in the dark ages of AI, so like it's only going to get crazier. So like don't think and look, with media, political landscape, like if you look at distraction, they distract what I call like the distraction economy, like the past 3 years, right? 5 years. Like, has it gotten better? No, it's gotten exponentially worse, and it's just going to continue to do so. Like, that's why it's so important. So, Jerry, I want to be a good steward of your time, but I didn't want to let you leave because I've seen a lot of posts about, and so I want you to kind of get a little bit into that. So I saw a lot of the post about the, I think it's Go Broker is the name from UMortgage. So explain a little bit about what's that like. What's the purpose of that, and tell me a little bit about that.
So Go Broker is a platform we've launched. Obviously, you guys are part of this. The members of AIM, you guys know who Anthony is. Obviously, Anthony built Brawl and AIM. He birthed it, and at his heart, he's a broker. At our heart, we're brokers. And the reality is we built systems and processes, including technology, to get ready for this. And we've realized that not that we're necessarily better than other people, but we've done this with better technology. And one thing that no one else has done, we've taken a page out of the real estate industry's book. We put a cap. So after 50 loans, you stop paying. That's a huge deal. So it's a flat fee model, not unlike some of our friends in the market, but it's a flat fee model. So once you've done 50 loans, that goes away. Now, if you recruit people, obviously once your people do 50 loans, you don't get paid anymore either. But ultimately, this is not a business where you sit on your couch and collect money from recruiting. Ultimately, you got to do some loans and figure that out, or recruit 10 more people, right? But that's what it is we feel like we have seen all sides of this business, obviously. We've built technology and a standard that we can adhere to that will work well in this business. And we've got great partners like everybody else does. But we really want to roll it out there because we believe it gives more control. Back to the whole, not to say brokers are best and not to beat our chests like in the old days, because that turned a lot of people off. But we do believe that for the right person that can control their business, there's not a better model than what we offer right now, because it gives people the ability to control it. And then if they do a bunch of volume like myself or people like me, they stop paying after 50 loans. Basically 50 loans, loan 51, no more money to the house. That's a huge deal. You get so basically, if you do 100 loans, essentially you're saving 50 grand. You're keeping 50 grand in your pocket, which is a lot of money. So,
yeah, 100%. And as having been on the real estate side, those are a big thing. And guys, look, a lot of you may, because whenever there's a new model about this or that, or whether it's revenue share and recruiting and all that downline, upline, whatever, right? Here's the thing, guys, like on the retail side, did the same thing too. Right. We just didn't call it caps. It's like we had tiers, right? Based if you did a certain amount of volume, guess what? You went to the next tier and you got better things. Maybe you got an LOA. Maybe that LOA was deducted at like 15 or 20 bips. Guess what? Now it's 5 bips or 10 bips or whatever, right? Like it all plays into it, and it's been done for years. So like before you say like, oh, well, that's this or that, guys, just know it's all done at different levels. At the end of the day, I think to your point about, obviously brokers are best and whatnot, you're in the channel because you believe it's the best based off on the right person and the right channel. I believe the same. I saw a ton of people try to go broker, and I'm like, you ain't ready to be this, that, right? Like you need to be in like a retail office with people around you, right? Like, all of that. But for the right people, and it's the same thing. I see brokers like, oh, I'm going to go over to the retail and realize like, I don't have like the freedom that I thought I did as far as being able to go. But one thing, and we both have our own reasons for loving this channel. But one thing that I say is that having been mostly on the retail side and being a former co-owner of a retail IMB, I could say this is that as an originator, you will never have as much influence as you do on the broker side as you do on the retail side. And it's not even close. Like, because on the retail side, you have your company. And if you're a top echelon, top producer, then yeah, you have something to say, but you will never have any say with the investor on the retail side ever. Your leadership can, executive can, but you will never as a originator. On the wholesale side, every wholesale lender is competing for the individual attention and business of the LO. And so that's one difference that I think a lot of people don't talk about, but that is one of the things about going broker and why you, in my opinion, you have the ultimate advantage other than just having more choices. But if you're the entrepreneur, like I'm telling you, like you will have more influence and leverage than you will on the retail side.
Well, exactly. You've got optionality. If, you know, someone doesn't do what you want, just go to the next one. You know, I mean, you know, people can very quickly burn their business down without it. I mean, but you get stuck with a terrible underwriter at a big retail shop, you know, what can you have no way to go. I mean, I hate to say this and I'm this asshole. I've even, you know, at UWM, I had something not go my way and guess who I emailed? Yep. Matt. And I promise it was all quickly. Now I don't advise that. It didn't work out well for a lot of people, but, and that was before I got here. Cause I don't want to, you know, pretend like I'm somebody I'm not, but again, but they listen, right?
Yep.
You know, you'll have people on here. You've got the Chris Vincents of the world and the Rob Picos of the world, and the guys that are running these, and then Matt, obviously, that are running these big wholesale, you know, lenders that literally care. They show up at the events. They do the things, right? And so, again, you know, to your point, there's not every channel is good for every person, right? I couldn't be in retail. I started in retail, want nothing to do with it, but that doesn't mean it's not good for people. But if you truly want control, you truly want optionality, there's no better place to be. And that's kind of why we've done what we've done, because we feel like we have something to offer that other people are not doing. So
100%. And that is a great way to end this episode, because this is the broker journey. And this is about giving you guys real talk about it. Good, bad, indifferent, doesn't really matter. And this is why I want people like Jimmy on. And guys, if you aren't following, I'm going to put all of his contact info and ways to connect to him in the show notes of the podcast. But guys, make sure you're reaching out and connecting to Jimmy and people like Jimmy, because right now what we need is there's a lot of voices out there. And you got to be careful about the voices that you allow in your head. And yes, everyone has something that, like Jimmy's talking about, recruit. Look, I'm a coach, right? So obviously I put stuff out there, but at the end of the day, I hope, just like Jimmy does, if you look at his content and really look at it, like the value, it's like 80 value, maybe 20 sells business, right? Like I try to do the same thing. And so you got to have the right voices of the people that are not just did it before or doing it now, but are also looking at to the future health and what's going to make originators successful on this channel. So Jimmy, brother, thank you so much for taking time out of your day, joining me. Hope you stay. I do not miss the cold out in the snow in South Jordan and daybreak. I'm cool with that. But you know what? We've been pretty cold down here. So I'm not cool with that being cold in hot Atlanta, apparently. So I need to rename that a little bit. But Jimmy, thanks, brother. Really appreciate your time. And guys, look, the broker journey is about giving you guys just a real trusted look at this channel. That's why we talk about different lenders. We bring in other people, but ultimately we just want you to get value. We want you to get value of the people we brought in here and get you to think differently, and ultimately something that's going to help your business to compete and win in what we feel is the best channel in the industry. So with that, Jimmy, thanks again. And I am Frazier, and guys, this is the broker journey, and you can contact me if you want to be featured on this podcast at a later date. Hope you guys have an amazing day, and we'll see you on the next episode.
You guys.